Hi guys, just a quick tutorial for the Boeing 737, 700s and 800s, in this case 800 from PMDG. We will make a very short flight from Gatwick to London, and this will take us for the flight only maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but of course the start from cold and dark will take us some time, and I wanted to keep this as short as possible while still showing you all the steps you need to get this plane started and to get a full flight and land this plane. So you can see we are on the runway already and not at the gate, and still have our GPU, our ground power unit, and stairs here, just to save us some time for not taxiing to the runway. Everything is shut off, everything is cold and dark. So the first thing you will do when you come into the plane is activate the batteries. You can do it by putting this little switch here down, or just putting the guard case down, and it will turn it to battery mode as well. We will then arm our emergency exit lights and turn on our ground power to save us to not be too harsh on the batteries. You can see we are connected to the ground power unit, so we can turn this one on, and I will get to this in a second again. And we will turn on our ILS localizers to nav mode, so it will start aligning. There it is, and as soon as it starts blinking, it will have the GPS coordinates of our plane, which we need for navigation. Okay, we can turn on our left and right packs to auto mode, and that's it by now. You can see the FMC computer has already come to life, and you can go to Setup and select a startup state you want. So when I spawn a new session, I select cold and dark, but with a ground power unit. So every time I spawn and start a new session, the plane will be shut off, but I will have already a ground power unit. If you don't have it, go back to menu, go to FS Actions, Ground Services, and you can ask for ground power in here. Okay, so we will start with the FMC. This will be the first thing we will do in here, and go to position in it, and let's in the upper right hand corner you can see it has 3 pages. Always have a look at here if you think you can't find something. Sometimes the menus have more pages, so go to next page, and you can see we have already found our coordinates, and we will go for the left one since we are sitting on the left side of the cockpit. So press it, this will take it into the cache, go to previous page again and paste it into here. So to make sure the system isn't faulty and told us we are in the middle of Central Africa or something like this, we can enter our reference airport and maybe even the gate. So we are at Gatwick, which has the ICAO code EGKK. So we will enter this one here, and you can see it's only minor differences, so everything looks valid and legit. We go to route. We still have our ICAO code for Gatwick in our cache, EGKK, so we can paste this straight one to origin. Runway, let's ask ATC what they told us. It's 08 right, so we go for 08 right and paste this one here. And our destination will be London Heathrow, so we will go for the ICAO code EGLL, which is London Heathrow. As you can see, we have 2 pages, so we go to next page, and we could go straight to EGLL and paste this one here, EGLL, but it would be a little bit steep to fly in there and still intercept the localizers and glide scopes. So we will go to a flight plan database and have a look. We are right here, EGKK, and we want to go to EGLL. And we just can't go like this, or like maybe if we enter an arrival, go very steep here, because we have 2 little time to adjust our glide scope and localizers. So we go for maybe Tunel or Sosic. Let's have a look if we find them. Sosic, do we have it? Yeah, we have it, okay. And then we go for EGLL next. Root discontinuity, that's okay. We'll paste this one, close the discontinuity by just pressing the next waypoint, take it into cache, and then go to the place you want to overwrite or fill in. Then we go to activate and execute. And you can already see, if we make this map a little bit bigger, we can see that's how we will fly. We have our Sosic waypoint and we have EGLL. We don't, let's pretend we don't know what runway we will land when we come to London Heathrow, to keep it, keep some kind of simulation, and to show you how you would do this when you get told what runway you have to land on mid-flight. Okay, so we go to performance in it, and then we will start on the left bottom corner, cost index. The closer you get to 0, the more fuel efficient you will get your calculated route and trip, and the closer you get to 100, the more less you give a fuck about kerosene and fuel efficiency. It depends on the airline in most cases, so we can go to menu, setup, I think it's aircraft and equipment, and then page 3. Yeah, there we can see it, company cost index for our little Ryanair flight is 18. So we go back to the menu and go to FMC, or you go straight to the init ref page, and we paste 18 into here. Reserves. This means when you go beneath whatever number you type in here, the computer will calculate how much fuel will you have on board when you arrive at your destination, and if you have beneath the number you type in here, you will get a little warning message that you will land with reserves. But I don't think we will get any trouble with 45% fuel in a 10-minute flight, so we just paste 1 here. Most of the times I do. 0 fuel weight. We can go to our weight and balance, and we are 136 and fuel in total, and 25 fuel. That means 111. We have 111,000 pounds without any fuel. And if we the fuel on board, we have the fuel we put inside the plane, 25 and additional 100 for aviation safety reasons. And if we fuel on the gate, we can type in here, if we get 5,000 pounds of fuel additional, we can type in here 30.1, but we don't need this at the moment. And since we are not going very far, we will not go very high. So our cruise altitude will be flight level 30, which means 3,000 feet. Type it in here and execute. And one limits, we don't need it. You can skip this one. And we will start with flaps on 5 degrees. Enter this one here. Then you can just press the button next to CG, and it will generate your CG and tell you how much trim you need. And then you go to your trim wheel, which makes this very distinctive sound you hear from some POV videos in the 737s or other Boeings. And we go for 4.5. Then we can paste the calculated speeds in here. So after 131 knots we can't abort our takeoff with the selected runway and wait, and we will rotate at 133 knots, and we need at least 144 knots to stay stable, the bare minimum to stay stable in the air. And that's all we have to do for the FMC by now. We can go up here and select our altitude of 3000 feet already. And our speed will be our V2, which was 144 plus additional 5. Okay. Then we can maybe already activate our yaw damper, and then we will start our APU. So we go for our logo lights and anti-collision lights first, since the plane is getting active now. Anti-collision lights, that's the beacon lights, the red one up here and down, and nav lights, this lights giving our Ryanair a little bit promotion on the runway. And we will turn this button down to start the APU. And we'll start now. And we'll have a look at the exhaust gas temperature. You saw this little low oil pressure warning light come on. And as soon as we ignite in the APU, we should see it rising towards 800 degrees. Now pressure warning light is off. And it's going back to 400, I think. And as soon as it's stable and providing electricity, you will see this little light here come to life in blue. There it is. And now we don't need our batteries or ground power. We can take our electricity from our APU generators. So we turn the right generator on, the left generator on, and now we can turn off the ground power. And since we don't take our electricity from our ground power, we can go to menu, FS actions, ground services, and release the ground power card. And you can see the cable is gone. We have our wheel chucks still in place, you can see here. So we can, when we are here already, turn our parking brake on and release or remove our wheel chucks. Okay, our APU is on. And now we can activate our heats for our windows and for the probes, and we can already turn on our electric hydraulic pumps, and we can select our pressurization in the cabin. Very important if you remember the Helios flight where everybody went blackout. You need to tell the pressurization system how far up on altitude you are going to go, because the air is not breathable up there. For our little flight it's not really important, but I think we will get a configuration warning if we don't do it, so we go for 3,000 feet anyways. Our landing destination, I think on Heathrow, is somewhere around 120 feet above ground. Yeah, and make sure you're in auto mode, because that's what happened on the Helios flight. They left it from maintenance to the manual mode. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend, otherwise you will die. If you're climbing, later on you will see these needles rise and the cabin pressure rise. Okay. After that, we can then turn our fuel pumps on, look if the lights go off, maybe make sure if we have enough fuel in our center tanks. Yes, if these lights stay on, that means you don't have enough fuel on board in the center tanks, so you leave them off. Because first you fuel your wings to make it more stable, and when they are full, only if you have go for like, I don't know, 7, yeah. I think it's above 50% you start to fuel your center tanks as well. So if these lights stay on when you turn the pumps on, just turn them to off. But apparently we have enough fuel in there, so we leave them on, make sure the lights go off. Okay. So the next thing we will do is we will turn our packs off to give all the pressurized air, make this to auto, pressurized air into our bleed air for the engines, and we will start with the right engine. And you can see, right engine is coming to life, our N2 is here, our N1 is here. So that's the small high pressure compressors, that's the big fans in front of the engine. You can see Startwolf has opened. And above 25 we can open up our engine start levers, and you will see our exhaust gas temperature comes to life. And as soon as we get around 19 to 20% N1, this little button here will switch back to off automatically. The ignition can be left on both position. There it is. And again, if it's heavy rain or very cold or very windy or heavy snowfall, you can leave it on continuous. I know some people leave it on continuous until they have taken off. But since this is a simulation, we don't really need it, but you can let them on continuous until you're around 3,000 feet in the air and then turn them back to off. So we will go on with our engine number 2. Wait for 24, 25% N2. For 25, there we go. And again, wait for the lights to go off and wait for this button to go to off position. Okay, switch went back to off position, lights went off. We can now take our electricity from our engine generators. We don't need the APU anymore, so we can turn on generator right, generator left, and the APU gens automatically went off. We can make sure they are off by pressing this one again. We can then turn off the APU bleed. Our bleed for left and right engine is already by default set on. We can bring back our packs. So we have air conditioning again. And we can turn off the APU. And you will see this one will take some minutes, but it will cool down. Since we have our hydraulic pumps on, we can turn on our wheel well wing lights. You usually do this a little bit before. This is the lighting in between here, where all the hydraulic lines go through, and ground staff will check if there are some oil leaks or something like this, but we are not on the runway, so we don't need the wheel and the wing lights. We know we have no ice on the wings, we know we have no leaks, and runway and taxi lights we don't need either because we're already on the runway. We need landing lights for takeoff. So let me see if we forgot something. We can tell our passengers to fasten the seat belts, immediately stop smoking if you've done it, not done by now. Everything looks good. We don't need anti-ice since it's warm outside and we are not going through heavy clothes on a high altitude. Everything green and everything good. Okay. We told the plane that we will start with flaps on setting 5, so we will go to flaps setting 5. There we are. Have a little look. Here we can see if the flaps really do what we told them to do. And we want our auto brake set to RTO, so if we need to abort our takeoff. It will automatically brake for us. And important, this is not an Airbus, so you don't want your spoilers to be armed on takeoff. You only want them to be armed on landing. So we should be in perfect takeoff configuration. You can test this if you give it some throttle by now, and I will show you it will give a little warning alarm since our speed brakes are armed as they shouldn't be. So we will turn on the parking brakes. We will press the normal brakes manually. You can see here. And now I will give it full throttle for like half a second. And you saw this little warning horn because we are not in the right landing configuration. So test again. You can see speed brakes are armed, so we will disarm them, and same again. Release parking brake, press the normal brakes and give it full throttle, and you hear everything is good. Okay, I think we are good to go. We can then arm our auto thrusts and our flight directors left and right, and we can now take off. A little thing: to get full power you need to press this little screw. The takeoff doesn't go far enough, so you have to go here and then press takeoff toga. So now we will take off. We will wait for our 80 knots call out, then our V1, and we rotate speed, and then we go up to around 10 to 15 degrees. You see our purple flight directives came to life, and we will follow it until we are stable and can enable the autopilot.
V1, rotate.
Rotate. So we pull back.
Positive rate of climb.
Positive rate of climb, so we'll bring in our landing gear, and we will bring in our flaps. The green numbers here, 1 means setting 1, and we are coming close to up position. We are following our flight director, and we will go down a little bit.
Ryanair 738, leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
And we will now activate autopilot, activate lateral navigation and our vertical navigation. And now it will fly what it says here in purple numbers for 3000 feet at 250 knots. We could have flown a little bit longer manually. You see we are coming real close to our stalling speed. Sometimes it's better to go with fly by hand a little bit longer and then activate autopilot. So we go for 250 knots. We will leave our landing lights on since we are just before our approach. And now let's go to ATC and play as we just asked for landing permission on London Heathrow. Altimeter 2992, that's default, that's the standard barometric pressure. We don't need to adjust this, otherwise you could do it by turning this knob here. Yeah, shut up now, please, will you? Nearest airport list, and where is it? Should be somewhere around here. EGLA, there it is. And we will request full stop landing.
Ryanair 738 is 22 miles southeast 3,000 feet with India to land.
Ryanair 738 tower. Altimeter 29er, 21270 at 4.
And they tell us we could expect 27L. Altimeter looks good. We already have 29.92, and we go for runway 27L. So we go for departure and arrival. you will see departure only for Gatwick and arrival for both. Arrival because if we have to come back to Gatwick when we have some faulty systems or engine failures, we have arrival for Gatwick as well, and for London Heathrow we only have our arrival. And we will go for 27L, 27L, next page. 27L, was it? There it is, 27L. We will go without any start, just go straight and execute. And now if you go here, back again, on your arrival you can see this little activate message right to your ILS 27L. Sometimes you have ILS Y and a ILS Z. I think this is because you have different go rounds, but you could go with the first one always. And here we only have the normal ILS. Okay, we go to legs. We can see there is a discontinuity in our flight plan since we entered our arrival, so we will close this. We will close our next waypoint, take it into cache and paste it in here. Execute. And we can still see, since we entered EGLL, we after our waypoint it will go to London Heathrow straight, but we want our approach that we set up, so we will override EGLL by clicking the next waypoint again and override by clicking next to your London Heathrow waypoint. And there we go. We go for Sussex waypoint and then we go straight onto our runway by this approach waypoints. You can go to the next page, everything looks good. Yeah, these are the tracks that we have here. If we zoom out a little bit. Oh, sorry. Go a little bit in. We are flying here, coming straight to runway 27L, and this is if we have to make a go round, we would turn left to this heading, I believe. But we go back to our normal map. This looks good. And you can see we will not really go to Sussex, since the turn would be too steep, so we just make our turn a little bit in front of Sussex. Right now, you can see autopilot is going left side. Just if you may ask for the autopilot, right or left doesn't make any difference. Up and down, this one is, you still can control the plane, and as soon as you let go of the controls, the autopilot will take control again. And here it is just like a casual autopilot on an Airbus. If you touch the yoke a little bit, nothing will happen. I did right now. But if you are very consistent and very harsh on the controls, the autopilot will disengage. Okay, so we can see our speed brakes. We could, for a normal flight, turn back to 0, but since we are landing in a minute, we turn it to 2. We will arm our speed brake. There we are, speed brake armed. We will go to our init page again, and you can see it already is at the approach phase. And we will can enter something manually here with the slash, or we just go for something it tells us. So I will go for full flaps and 136 knots. So we go click this one, it will take it into cache and paste it in here. Okay, so 136 knots. Now our computer knows what we are doing. We can go to our legs, have a look at here. So by the next waypoint we should be at 250 knots. Then we will go down to 141 and go down, go down, go down. So we are 136, so we take +5 again. Ah, we can't end it already, so we will wait. And the next thing we will do is we will have a look for this little localizer route symbol here. This should be on our in the middle of the screen. If we can intercept the localizer, but it doesn't look too good. Maybe we're too far away. Okay, you can see we switch to the next point. Have a look at the legs. Okay, so we're going for the next waypoint, and it's going for 206 knots. and for 206 knots we can then maybe already extend our flaps by 1 and our landing gear. We will, in a flight you would take it to the neutral position after you've retracted the landing gear to take some pressure from the system, and now we want to extend the landing gear and turn our flaps 1 position down already, just to make sure. And since we are flying so close to the airport, we didn't have time to really set up our localizers. I don't know why we don't see it already. So we will skip this and already go for our approach mode. But we seem to be not near enough. Ah, now we are. You see, approach mode activated. You can go to the approach map here. You can see we are still going for the localizer a little bit. Turn this one a little bit bigger. And you can press the TFC button 2 times, I think. We've not... there it is. You can see our glide scope already. This is the button we need to press, CTR. And you can see, here's our glide scope. So if you want to fly it by hand, you can deactivate the autopilot and just go with this descent rate. Should be perfect, 3 angle at 3 degrees. We will turn on, now okay, now we have approach mode, so now our speed mode came to life. We said we want to land with 136 plus 5, 136 plus 5, that's 141. And we've intercepted the glide scope, going down by now, leaving our 3000 feet and heading straight for runway 27L. At the moment I'm not really sure if we should have our spoilers armed, since it gives us this warning light, but it doesn't go away if we disarm them. We just leave it there. We will go further with our flaps, 15, 25 and 30. So it didn't let us go a little bit slower because we had the flaps too late. So make sure if you do this flight, take out your flaps a little bit earlier. So the autopilot allows the plane to go slower. So, but we're still coming in for our, we're still in the glide scope and we're going good for our 141 knots. Looks good.
500.
And we will then disengage our autopilot, press this warning, and disengage our autopilot. So we will fly this by hand.
300. 200. 100. 50.
There we go for idle.
30.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
There we are. And we go for full reverse thrust.
Ryanair 738 turn.
And you can see the speed brakes deployed automatically. I know this was a little bit quick and dirty, but I wanted to show you just all the procedures. I hope you could still learn something from this if you are new to this PMDG 737. Yeah, have a nice day, guys.